I got another Prove It Basic Strategy video for you today. We're going to be playing out 100 times a soft 19 versus a dealer 6, where we double down, which is what Basic Strategy says to do as long as this is an H17 game, versus standing, which is what a ploppy might do, someone who doesn't know how to count cards. And this is going to be an interesting one. By the way, this was sent in by Raven W to 007, and so thanks to them for sending this request in. If you guys have a request that you would like me to do, go ahead and drop it down below in the comments, or if someone has already commented the hand that you would like to see, you can go ahead and like that, and I'll try to do the one with the most likes down below this video. Anyway, I have 30 chips for both black and green here that we're going to be playing out. Some of you hate that, which get over yourself, all right? This is just a chip. It's like a chip count. I don't have enough to do it all. I don't know what the results are going to be. These are all the greens that I have. Maybe I have enough, maybe not. I can't see into the future. I'm learning this along with you guys, but this is one and this is one. Just, okay, pretend there's no numbers on it and get over yourself. But if you want to comment and hate that, that's fine down below too. I love your hate mail. All right, anyway, we're going to be playing it out with these two, and we're going to see what's going to happen. Now, this is interesting because a soft 19 versus a dealer 6 has a deviation which occurs at a negative running count. So normally we should double down in an H17 game, but there is a deviation to stand at any negative running count. So this one could potentially go both ways depending on what that count is as we kind of go through our shoe here. And if it drops negative, that could be possible where the standing one ends up winning more. But just to see, I am going to be playing it out. Here, let me throw a couple over here just so you can kind of see what's happening. And I'll do it in the middle so we can see both. But we have our soft 19 versus a dealer 6. And let's say for green, we're going to double down, whereas this guy is just going to be playing with one chip and not doubling. They're going to stand. Okay, and someone also mentioned that maybe I should use the same card for both. So for example, what I mean by that is if I double it, double is this way. If I double down, now I have a hard 19, okay? And I would just take this one back since this guy is standing. So I'm not going to put out alternate cards or anything. I'm just going to kind of put them in the middle and think of it that way. Now the dealer, they have a whole card here, and let's see, they would have 16 and too many. So I think what's going to happen, this might be true for most of this video, is when we double, they're probably going to win a lot of times, and they're going to win twice as many chips as this other guy. That's my prediction, at least. And so let's do this. For that first one, I'm going to write that down, and I'll do it so you can see here. So double down is what Basic Strategy says to do. This was a win by both here and here. So I'm going to give it one in each. We're going to play these out 100 times, and we're going to see what's happening. And then I'm also going to put these cards off to the side. So I'm going to take all these ones. I'll put these in the discard tray first, eventually. But first, let me get these shuffled up so you know I'm not messing with the rest of these or anything like that. And then we will play a few more, and I'll throw it into a hyperlapse so I don't waste your whole day. All right, and then while I get these cards thrown over into the shoe over here, another comment that I got, I'll maybe pop it on the screen as well, was something kind of along these lines. Yeah, I know it's not very many hands. It's 100 hands. That's not many in the grand scheme of things. That's not the long run, you might say. And because of that, Personally, I trust the computers. I trust what the hundreds of millions of computer-generated hands say and what the Basic Strategy says to do as a result of those simulations. This series is for the people that maybe doubt that a little bit, and this kind of gives you a leaning or a tendency of what it's going to happen over a little bit of the time there. And so yeah, it's just 100 hands. Anything could happen. I could win all of these and lose all of these, or vice versa, in those 100 hands, or majority of one versus the other. But 100 will start to kind of get you a little bit of a kind of a leaning as to what might be happening in the hundreds of millions that those computer-generated simulations have that actually are responsible for coming up with what Basic Strategy says to do. So yeah, I'm not an idiot. I follow Basic Strategy to a T, and this isn't going to change what I do at the blackjack table. This is just kind of for some of the doubters out there that say, oh, Basic Strategy was created by the casinos. Well, no, it wasn't, you idiots. This was created by the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. If you don't believe me, look that up. It's an interesting story. Some soldiers, I believe, on the East Coast. Anyway, Sounds fake, but it's actually true. Anyway, let's try a few hands here and see what happens. So I'm a little fired up today. This first one here, just kind of see what happens. I'll give the dealer a burn or a hole card. I always want to call it a burn card. And so they're going to double down, get 19, all right? And the dealer has 16 and 26. So if I were to take this away, yes, this guy would have still won. I'm going to use the same cards here, just without the double. And so they're both winners, kind of like our previous one we just saw what happened there. So I'm going to put a win in both of those, but he gets 2 chips, whereas this guy just gets 1. Okay, now I'm only going to take away those cards, and let's try it again. Really, we shouldn't go through a whole lot of cards because this is only going to give a few. I think what the most we could get, well, I guess we could get a bunch of little cards here, but give them a whole card and then got a double. All right, so this time we have 13 versus the dealer 6. Dealer has 16 and they busted again. All right, so again, we have a double down winner and a winner there. So both winners. Even if I were to take this away, 19 still beats this dealer's bust, obviously. So we got a win and a win. Let's see if we can get something besides a win for this last one. Never know. And then I'll throw it into a hyperlapse after this. Okay. And remember, this is H17, so if this was like an ace underneath, I would have to hit that again until I get a hard 17. All right. This one, got a burn card, and now they're at 18. Dealer has 19. All right, so this was interesting because if I were to take this away, this one actually is a push for the ploppy, all right? But this guy lost because that was 18, which gets beat, of course, by the dealer's 19. So I will mark those up. I'm going to keep my tallies going here on the hyperlapse, and I'll be back with you once I've played out doubling down 100 times and standing 100 times on a soft 19 versus our dealer's 6. Hey guys, real quick, we're like 55 hands or so in to each of these, and I was thinking about one of those comments I got earlier, and I have a feeling that I'm not doing what you guys were suggesting, so I want to just kind of switch it a little bit, and I think this might be more as to what you were talking about. And so let's keep it out kind of the same way. And for example, I'm still going to give the dealer their whole card here, but let's say this guy is going to double down. All right, so now they have 12. Okay, whereas this guy, of course, would stand and still have 19, but this guy doubled. Now we have 15 here, but then I think there's 3 if he would have stood, right, then this 3 would actually be the next card out, and so it would also give us 19. So this guy would be a winner because of that. And this one, if it was back for this guy, that would have been, it's just kind of tricky to do. So I'm gonna do it kind of the second half this way, because I would be pulling other cards out, but then I don't really want to put them back into the shoe. It's kind of tricky with how I would do it. And so I'm actually gonna keep, this card is gonna kind of play both roles, if you will, which is not really what it should be. But that said, if he would have stood, then this card would have been that second spot. So I think that's kind of what you're asking me to do. So I think doing it this way for the second part of this video, whereas the way I did the first part where I am pulling another card for both, that should give us a little bit more fair result. There's just no real good way to do it because it's kind of like 2 different hands that you're playing, and so I don't know if you can kind of see my conundrum or not. But anyway, this was, what was that, 12, so he would have lost, and so a loser here and a winner there. So if I mark that up where my basic strategy guy lost and the standing guy won, bring him up here now. Okay, let me do another one, see if that makes any sense. So this card and this card are going to go over there. I'm going to reset these with my double down and my stand. Still gets a whole card. All right, now the double, this gives us 13. I think, is that what I had last time? 13. I had 12 last time. And this guy would have stood. And so now we have 11. But then remember, if he's standing, this card's actually here next. And so this was 15 and 20. So I think in both cases there, they would both have lost, whereas with the 13 or with the 19, 20 of course beats both of those. So this 4 is kind of playing both positions. I know you're not going to like that in the comments. You're probably yelling at me already, but I always get yelled at, so I don't care. All right, so I'm going to kind of finish up the last half of the hands like this. It might take me a little bit longer as that card has to play both positions, but I'll mark this one down as a loss for both, and we'll see if that changes anything. Currently, it seems like usually they're both winners when everyone's busting, but I'll get into kind of the why behind it at the end of the video. All right guys, I'm back with the results. First off, before I kind of get into what I think was happening in some of those different hands and things, let's count the chips. All right, remember, don't think of these as 25 and these as 100s. Think of them as 1 chip each. So these are in groups of 10. So we have 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 84 for the green. All right, and I think it's the same for the black. It's the exact same, which is awesome. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 80, and then 4. Yeah, so this is one where, again, if you're a card counter, it is super beneficial. Is that on the screen? Yeah, super beneficial to know what that deviation is, so you can actually stand when the count drops below 0 and you're supposed to deviate and do what do what the count says or that deviation says, so that you can optimize these wins, because it is a winning play regardless of whether you double down or stand, right? Clearly we started with 30 and we more than doubled our winnings there, almost tripled them. And so kind of a neat thing in both cases. So if you can even optimize that more, this is a great hand to start with as a soft 19, whether you want to double down if the count's positive or stand if the count is negative. And so that's kind of my plug for card counters there. And then if I put these off to the side here, let's just kind of look at the results. And this is also interesting. If you double down, in both cases, you're going to win most of the time. That's why we have more chips than when we started with. 59 to 69 though. But remember, you're winning double the amount of chips when you double down. All right. Whereas you just win one chip if you stand. We lose less than when we double down, but again, with those wins, it really makes up for it. And then the pushes, we pushed more. I don't know how, I don't know if we were to play out a million hands, if these numbers would be similar, if that just was kind of coincidence with those two. But again, I know some of you are in the comments right now, you're like 100 is not enough, and I agree with you. If we were to get to the long run of, you know, a lot of times the simulations that I run for the numbers that I use when I play blackjack, it's like, I think the minimum is 400 million. That's way more than 100, okay? It's 4 million times as much if you want to think of it that way. And because of that, these numbers are probably slightly off if you were to think of this as a percentage. Like, this is probably not 59% of the time we're going to win. Maybe it's 61, or maybe it's more like 52 or something. You know, it could be somewhere in that range where it's probably close, but it could be slightly off. And same thing with these numbers. And so that is why we do want to trust basic strategy and the millions and millions of hands that have been played out with those computer simulations, as they can just play way more hands than I can do. In fact, this video took me about an hour and a half or so to make, to sit there, play them all out, open up my pen, write down the tally marks and things. It just takes a long time to do. My one camera overheats if it does the hyperlapse, and so I had to switch to the other camera during that part. And there was just kind of a lot of switching and things. These take a long time. So one, if you don't mind, please hit the thumbs up button for my effort. I hope you appreciate that. But two, please trust basic strategy. It is, those millions and millions of hands are played out, and they can do way more than we ever could. This hopefully gives you an idea that, yeah, it's probably close regardless of what you do. But we can optimize that when the count is in our favor, or when it's not in our favor, we can also maybe stand. And so that's another reason. It just kind of backs up what those numbers are saying from the computers. So that's kind of what I got for you this week, is a soft 19 versus a dealer's 6, and just kind of the results either way. If you have a particular hand that you want to see me play out manually, now again, we do trust basic strategy and the math that's with that, but if you have one that you would like me to actually see if, like, is that true or not, let me know that down below in the comments. I want to keep the series going about once every couple weeks or so. It seems like it might be good to throw a video like this out there. Otherwise, until next time, remember, this is A1 Blackjack.